Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Technology Happy Hour. My name is Sarah Stolka. I am a program coordinator here with Virginia Clean Cities. And today we will be hearing from Joyce Bodoh of the Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. And she'll be talking to us a little bit about EVs, charging, and the roles of utilities in transportation electrification. Joyce is a member of the VCC board and is the director of energy solutions and clean energy at the Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. In her role, she oversees the co-op's electric transportation programs, sustainability initiatives, and end-use energy services for members. She has over 10 years of experience with REC and has had a variety of responsibilities in government and regulatory affairs, demand response, advanced metering, and customer service. Joyce holds a master's degree in business administration from the College of William & Mary and bachelor's degrees in history and leadership and management from the University of Mary Washington. So with that, I will hand it over to Joyce. Joyce, you can take it away.
Hello, everybody. Okay, can you see my screen? Somebody give me a thumbs up.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, thanks. First of all, I appreciate everyone Zooming for an hour on the 4 o'clock on a Thursday when we've been in this virtual world for so long that in-person meetings are just so much better. And I also really appreciate that there's a lot of diverse perspectives on this call. It just shows that whether you're in engineering or budgeting or doing sustainability planning for your city in Roanoke, that EVs kind of impact all of those groups. So just as a quick introduction, my name is Joyce. As she said, I am a recent board member on the Virginia Clean Cities, and I've known Alan for a long time. And when Rappahannock was first looking into EVs years ago, and we didn't know what a level 1 charger was, and we'd never seen an EV in person, we took a road trip down to Harrisonburg, and he was gracious enough to give us the 411 way back when. So I always appreciate for the invitation here. I'm just going to be going over some topics that I think are relevant, and hopefully you all come away with just one piece of information that you didn't know before. I'll be going over Rappahannock's electric vehicle plans, then speaking to some rate schedules. I know rates are super exciting for all of you. It is for me. So I'll be talking about that, and then some opportunity gaps that I see in the EV industry. So Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, we're one of the largest co-ops in Virginia. We serve 170,000 meters across 22 counties. And our territory is sort of, I'll call it Swiss cheese. We start up here in Clark. I think I saw there's a member who lives in Clark on the call. That's sort of at the West Virginia line, and come down through Culpeper and Madison and Spotsylvania, all the way down to Essex and King and Queen. So it's a very, very long territory for us. And our membership is also diverse. So it's mostly residential, but we do have some commercial accounts, whether they be data centers, hospitals, King's Dominion, hospitality, tourism. So there's a lot of interesting growth where I'm getting calls from not just residential members, but different employers and public charging entities that are saying, okay, we want to do EVs. Where the heck do I begin? And our territory is surrounded by some major interstates that I think is important when we talk about EVs. So our territory is really surrounded by I-81, I-64, I-95, and this kind of major corridor sets it up well for our membership to go into EVs and to use REC to be their new fuel. A lot of our members are commuting an hour to get to DC, Richmond, Charlottesville, that type of area. And then the other thing I wanted to say here before I move on is that from a policy perspective, where we are in the state of Virginia, we've advanced a lot in EVs just in the last 2 years. The State Corporation Commission right now is accepting basically stakeholder engagement interest. So I think everyone on the call, you're on the call, so you're obviously interested in EVs. They are collecting names, and they'll be doing a stakeholder meeting to collect information for electric vehicles. And so I encourage you to sign up for that. I don't have the email right in front of me, but I can get that to you if you want to send me an email later. And Virginia also passed a clean car standard in the last session. And that says basically that manufacturers starting in 2025 have to sell a certain amount of low and zero emission vehicles. So I think that that will really propel more EVs so that people don't have to drive all the way to Maryland or Richmond to pick up an EV. There is also a law that was passed but not funded that would give a point of sale discount for used or new EVs. And while it wasn't funded, I do expect it probably will be funded at the next General Assembly session in the winter. So these are all kind of happening at the same time. So you're going to see a lot more EVs on the road. So Rappahannock Electric has had EVs in the fleet for a while. We have 2 Chevy Bolts with a B. We plan to buy more. These 2 cars, they kind of, they go everywhere. They go to conferences, they go to meetings, they attend the local 4th of July parade. We've had annual meetings and Get Connected events where we've had the Bolts at these events, and then also invited dealerships to come and show their cars. And those are actually, like, it's pretty fun to have all these people kind of who have never seen an EV before be really interested and asking questions about it. The problem though is these 2 vehicles look identical. So if you're gonna buy cars in your fleet, I would advise you probably change the license plate number or something so that it's not, it's a little confusing here. We do plan to put in more EVs in our fleet, as I mentioned. A lot of our territory, our guys in the field are kind of driving the same distances typically, and so that's a good it's a good cause to switch over to EVs. They actually make electric bucket trucks. I don't know that we'll ever get that far, but over the years, as we retire vehicles, I think we're going to be replacing more and more and more, especially pickup trucks. Like utilities are all about pickup trucks, so pickup trucks is something that we're watching carefully. And now I'm going to go over to our exciting rate schedule. So we have proposed at the Virginia State Corporation Commission a residential EV program to incentivize electric vehicle driving and reduce Rappahannock's wholesale power costs. And we want to delay electric vehicle charging to be off-peak. And the incentive that we have proposed is that if a member signs up, that we would give them $7 bill credit. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but really it's about 200 miles of driving. And over the course of a year, that's $84 in bill credits. We anticipate this will be approved late this year and then would roll out early next year. And for the program eligibility, we wanted to make it as broad as possible. Some people have level 1, some people have level 2, some people have network level 2. They're kind of like all over the board. And this program allows both of those types of chargers to enroll. Level 1 is just your standard 120 volt outlet. It takes forever to charge, but that portable charger typically comes with your vehicle. Level 2, on the other hand, is a 240 volt outlet. Those cost quite a bit of money depending on what type of charger you get. The one on the right is a portable level 2 charger that comes with the Mustang Mach-E, which is hard to say. And the one in the middle, I see Libby's on the call. This is a ChargePoint app. So if you get a Wi-Fi connected level 2 charger, it is more expensive, but it has some pretty cool bells and whistles. You can schedule your charging. You can look at how much energy you're using. You can do lots and lots of data crunching about your EV, which is pretty interesting because from a utility perspective, I can't tell you exactly precisely how much energy your car is using when it's charging, but your car could probably tell you that. And if you have a Wi-Fi connected charger, they could probably tell you that. I can make an educated guess, but if you want to be pretty specific and get some data, then there's some cool options. Okay, going too fast. Another point for this residential program we've proposed is that both all electric and plug-in hybrids will be eligible to participate. And I think this is important too, because I feel like plug-in hybrids kind of get left out of the story. And the pilot as it stands would be, we would allow 200 members to sign up, and up to 25% of those could be plug-in hybrids. And I have this list. So when somebody calls and is asking about it, we are going to contact them back when the program is approved. So this list of interested members is growing quickly. I'll say that. And some of just the more specifics about this, the member has to agree to schedule their car. They can use their app. They have an app. They can use a car dashboard. And we actually have 2 off-peak charging times overnight, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you might be wondering, like, why do you have this random early afternoon time? And that's kind of to capture a time period when a lot of people who buy EVs are also the same people that are putting in solar panels. So if you have solar on your roof, you're actually generating quite a bit of solar energy at this time. So it's nice that that member then can use their solar to essentially charge their car. The member has to be enrolled in Smart Hub, and that's just our smartphone app. And REC has hourly data, and we're going to verify whether someone's charging off peak or not. If a member has a level 2 charger, it's pretty apparent because the spike in their hourly usage goes up about 7 kW during that time period. And as I said before, program is not yet approved. Let me underline exclamation point that, and subject to change. Okay. Next, I'm going to move on to how easy it is for a member to even enroll in this program. These electric vehicles are getting like smarter and smarter as time goes on. This is a snapshot of my coworker's Mustang Mach-E. So this is from his app. He's just taking screenshots, right? So right here, it says he can set my own time. So he has scheduled it from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Next, it says, in order to receive charge time recommendations, you can sign up with your utility. So the next screen it says choose your provider right here, bam, Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. I did not personally call Ford and tell them that this zip code was in Rappahannock's territory. They've already done the work for us. So this is making it a lot easier for EV drivers to sign up for their utility programs. And then right here, it says, please select the plan you currently have with this provider. And right now we have time of use. And when we get this new EV program, as long as it's approved by the commission, it will say right here. And I just think that this is really fascinating. And when my coworker shared this with me, he was actually surprised that Ford had this information. And I think a lot of OEMs have the same type of setup. Now, the next program I was going to talk to, someone mentioned workplace charging earlier. REC is going to offer workplace charging for EV drivers at our Fredericksburg office. And I think that promoting EVs is really powerful when you collaborate with a lot of different groups. So here we're working with Dominion Energy and ChargePoint. And Dominion has this fantastic rebate program called SCIP, S-C-I-P. If you have meters in their territory, I highly suggest you look at this. Dominion will be providing a significant rebate on the cost to install ChargePoint chargers. And Dominion has a list of 3 vendors that they are allowing to participate in workplace charging. They're all Wi-Fi networked chargers, and the site host just gets to pick how many chargers they want. I think for workplace, it's up to 10. So Rappahannock will be putting in 2 dual port chargers. What I mean by dual port is it's like one pedestal, but you can charge 2 cars off of it. And so 4 EVs will be able to charge at the same time. And the only way that you can unlock the charging is if you have a ChargePoint app and if Rappahannock has granted access. So Mr. Joe Schmo can't just pull up to the ChargePoint app and start charging it. They have to be authorized to do so within the ChargePoint portal. And I've ordered these. I'm looking forward to them to be installed, and they should be installed probably in the next month or so. And this is just a screen grab of some of the information. You can see lots of information from ChargePoint. This is just one example. So this particular driver has charged with ChargePoint 258 times, and they've used 1,600 kilowatt hours of energy to do that. Okay, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about barriers to adoption in the market right now, like 2% of new car sales are EVs. And I know everyone here on the call is super excited about EVs, but if you say the word EV to somebody in the grocery store, they're probably going to look at you. I don't know what that means. I think that one of the major barriers is there's a lack of used electric vehicles in the market. If you're like my family, we never buy a new car. And so if you're never going to buy a new car and you're only looking at used vehicles, there's really not a lot out there. And some of the concerns I hear was, well, I don't know if I want to buy a used EV because what about the battery? Am I going to have to replace it? If the car's older than 5 years, how many more years do I have left on that? So that's kind of the concerns that I'm hearing. If you live in an apartment or a condo, it's unlikely that you have as much access to public charging as you would than if you live in your own single family dwelling. There's also not a lot of options for different makes and models. Unless you want a luxury car or a sedan, you're kind of out of luck right now. I'm a good example. I have 3 kids, so I'm in minivan land forever. There's not an all-electric minivan available right now. As you know, so that's one thing. My husband's also like 6'7". He's 6'7". Most of these cars seem to me, I don't think he's going to fit in those cars. So these are things I think that EV manufacturers need to think about is we need more pickup trucks. We need more large family vehicles in order to meet the need. If you live in a rural area and you live in a cooperative, it's probably, you're not going to have as many public charging options available. And also this range anxiety, I put it in quotes because once you get an EV, you kind of get over the range anxiety. But this is my husband's like, well, what if I run out? What if, and I tell him, you've got a Camry, you have 250,000 miles on your car and you drive an hour each way to Richmond. You're like the perfect poster child to get an EV. And he's like, what if I have to go to some other place? So I think that these are all things that we need to think about as we're trying to create dialogue and expand EVs in the region. In Virginia, there's 27,000 registered EVs and plug-in hybrids in Virginia, and this is as of third quarter of 2020. If you look at maps of where all these EVs are, they're in major metro areas, which if you're in a rural cooperative, you're not really seeing as much as many EVs and as many EV charging options. So in Virginia, really it's Fauquier, Loudoun, Fairfax, Washington, D.C. metro area, Charlottesville, Hampton Roads, and Richmond. That's where a lot of the EVs are. But the numbers are growing year over year, 38% increase in EV adoption in the state. We're still only at 2%, but it's showing that more and more people are getting into it. And this is a EV drivers demographics page. I'm being general here, but typically EV drivers are secondary vehicles, and that homeowner also has an internal combustion engine. So if I want to drive from here to rural Wisconsin where my in-laws live, I don't know if I would take that trip to rural Wisconsin in an EV because they're 45 minutes from McDonald's. So I don't even know if I could really charge my car to get there. Most drivers are single family homeowners, meaning that they're not living in an apartment or a condo, and they have access to a garage, which is really important if you're trying to think about where am I going to put the charger. If you don't have access to a garage and you have street parking, or you park in a parking deck or what have you, it's going to be harder to make the leap to EVs if you can't see yourself where you're going to be actually charging. Most EV owners are affluent, college educated. These are really the early adopters. And you can charge your car at home, at work, or in public. 80% of the time, the charging occurs at home, which is interesting from a utility perspective because now we're the fuel provider. And a question I get a lot is how much more is my electric bill going to be? And some recent EPRI research, it's 2018, Typically, an electric bill might go up 270 kilowatt hours. Multiply that by 11 cents. It's about $30 a month. Tesla drivers, their electric bill was higher because at that time, the batteries were so much bigger in Tesla cars, that they were able to drive more. So then they charged more. So the electric bill went up more. And this is wrapping up here from REC. When somebody contacts REC, I'm the person that they talk to. We have a lot of resources on our website. So myrec.coop/poweryourdrive. You can look at actual local EV dealers that are selling vehicles in our region. You can compare different types of EVs and plug-in hybrids based on different specifications. And you can compare internal combustion cars and EVs with price and all different types of items. Total cost of ownership is a big deal. When a residential member calls me, I'm talking to them about signing up for the EV program. I'm having conversations with them about their panel box. How many cars are you charging? Are you going to buy a level 2 charger? Do you already have a charger? A lot of the people that are calling Rappahannock are saying, I've ordered my EV and it's coming, it's on the way. I don't know what to do now. And so I'm having conversations with them like, you need to contact a local electrician to make sure your panel box can even accommodate a level 2 240 volt, because if it can't, then you have to then pay for that. And you have to pay for the hardware for the level 2 charger. These are items that I'm hearing anecdotally that the EV car dealers maybe don't have as much information about. If an employer is calling Rappahannock and saying, I want to provide workplace charging, what do I do? I'm telling these employers, you need to think about the number of employees that you have, how many of those have EVs, and then conduct a survey. Ask them, in the next 3 years, do you see yourself purchasing an EV? And then that employer can use that information to figure out, do I need 6 EV chargers or I just need 1? So in our case, we went with 2 dual port chargers because right now at the Fredericksburg campus, we have 2 employees with EVs, but we wanted it to be flexible enough that if we had a couple more people, they could all charge. And if it came down to it, or we had like 15 people with EVs, we could schedule them and say, okay, you can charge your car from 8 until lunchtime, and then you need to move your car, and then this person is allowed to use the charger. So there's a lot of flexibility built in. If a public charging company is calling me and saying, we want to put in public charging, what do I do? Then we're having conversations about how many chargers are you putting in? What demand is that charger going to be using? And transformer upgrades if necessary. A level 3 DC fast charger has to be on 3-phase power line. A level 2 charger can be on single phase line. And those are all that fun engineering talk can add extra expense to the bill. And we're having conversations about rate schedules. If a member puts in so many charging stations that their demand then necessitates them to go into the next rate schedule, they probably don't want to go down that route. So then they need to think about, how can I be creative and lowering the demand there so that they're not having to pay large demand fees. And there's also tons of federal and state incentives. And this is where I really rely heavily on Virginia Clean Cities, because they have a lot of programs. And this is my contact information. My email is here. My direct phone line is here. And that is my presentation.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Joyce. We haven't had any questions come through on the chat, but we've had some great commentary. We did have someone who wasn't able to attend today, but was really interested to submit a question. So this is from Garrett Johnson at SemaConnect. He was asking what the advantages of utility-owned EV charging deployments are versus those owned by property owners.
I can speak to that a little bit. So if a utility owns a charging station, I don't want to own the charging station. I don't want to have to deal with it if somebody runs into it or it stops working. So we're not really interested in owning them per se. The other kind of technical issue is in Virginia, utilities have a regulated amount that they are allowed to charge for electricity. So it's 12.5 cents per kilowatt hour, basically. So if Rappahannock puts in a charging station, I can't then charge more than our SEC approved rate to that driver. Does that make sense? The site host, if they own the charging station, they can give it away for free. They can charge $500 a kilowatt hour if they want to. That's between the site host and the driver. So I'd say the benefit is I don't want that responsibility.
Great, thank you. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask. If you're shy, you want to put it in the chat, I can read them out to Joyce as well.
I saw one question here. Is REC setting up its own workplace charging program? Yeah, we are. I'm actually working with Libby on this, and we're putting in charge point chargers for employees to use for free, and for visitors who are on official business to REC who'll be there for more than 1 hour. And the way that they'll be able to use the charger is they have to contact us basically, so I can set them up in the portal to charge.
I see a request for Joyce's contact info in the chat. Drop the email in there real fast.
You said, this is Royce. You said for visitors to use for 1 hour. So after that 1 hour, do you start charging?
Let me rephrase that. If a visitor is there for at least an hour, then they can use the charger.
They can use the charger. Okay.
Right. So Royce, when you come to visit me, then you can use it. And the way
1 hour, right?
No, yeah. And we're asking employees, it will be free for them to use. And basically it's like coffee, right? The co-op provides coffee to everyone. You can choose to drink it. I don't choose to drink it. And it's sort of, that's how kind of where we see the workplace charging. We're going to provide the charging to employees, and you can use it or not. And we will ask employees to make a charitable contribution to our Project Big Heart, which basically is a charity that we designate dollars to go back out into the community.
I had a question for Joyce. So what is the minimum that a driver has to, so if somebody signs up for your program, can they buy a car and use the 110 kind of dumb charger that comes with the car and still enroll in it? I mean, do they have to have like Wi-Fi, or do they have to have an internet connection or
Nope.
what?
No, and actually I'll tell a little story. The current version that's pending before the commission, you can charge your vehicle on 110, or you could charge your vehicle on 240. So it doesn't matter. You can still sign up for the program. But a year and a half ago, when we first filed this proceeding, we had a much more restrictive program where we were saying, members, if you want to sign up, you have to buy a specific Wi-Fi enabled charger that's on our list so that it can then talk to our systems. And then we looked into it and thought, you know what, that type of charger costs more money, and you're only capturing the future EV buyer that has not yet purchased their charger. So this new revised application captures people that have already purchased their charger. So to answer your question, yeah, both count.
Okay. And then they if they charge within the off-peak windows, then you just monitor that by their meter. Is that right? And then what happens if they're charging on peak but should be charging off peak? I mean,
this is a pilot, but we will be sending communication reminding lots and lots of reminders to people to not do that. With the pilot, it's more of like a learning process. So we have data, like we have before data already, so we'll be able to kind of compare before and after. But everything I've seen, I mean, it's like a set it and forget it. So you schedule your car and then hopefully you don't unschedule it. But if you're like in my household, I might mess with it and then my husband might change the schedule on the EV. So those are all things that we'll learn from this pilot, how people really behave when they're on the program.
Okay, cool.
It looks like the questions are slowing down. So we are moving this series from a bi-weekly series to a monthly series. So if anyone is interested, the next session we are going to have will be in August. That'll be on August 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be hearing from Mike Ciceri of Clean Energy, who will be talking to us about their renewable natural gas. So a little bit of a pivot from EVs, but as this series goes on, we will have plenty of more EV information. So please feel free to join us. There's the link in the chat. You can visit our EV events or our events page to see what other EV events we have coming up. And then lastly, we would like to give a shout out to a statewide resource for those of you who are thinking about purchasing an EV or have friends who are thinking about purchasing an EV. Right now, we have recently launched the Drive Electric Virginia website that offers information for consumers, fleets, and more. And it even highlights REC's Power Your Drive program. So go ahead and head on over there if you are interested. The URL I will place in the chat. Oh, it looks like someone already did. So that is driveelectricva.org. And of course, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to Joyce. And if you have any other more general EV questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Virginia Clean Cities. I put my contact information and Alan's contact information in the chat as well.